Dasick from PNC. On behalf of the bank, thank you to the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber for creating this opportunity to learn from each other today. It is my pleasure to introduce Frank Bartoli, Ellie Bartoli, and Jeffery Mazur. Frank Bartoli is the founder and CEO of NEPA Inclusive. His career spans more than 25 years of successful nonprofit leadership experience. His advocacy experience and the reason for starting NEPA Inclusive includes advocating for his daughter Ellie. She has Down syndrome and was fully included in her high school classroom, as well as attending typical community programs. As a result, Ellie is the Pittston Area High School 2017 Homecoming Queen, the Pittston Area girls basketball team manager, and was given the opportunity to play in 2 games in 2017, where she scored 12 points in the All-Star game. Frank furthered his advocacy experience as the executive director of the ARC of Delaware County, a board of director of the ARC of Pennsylvania, and president of the ARC Community Trust. This organization manages more than 1,100 special needs and education trusts. His nonprofit leadership experience includes multiple positions within the YMCA movement, including executive director CEO of the Greater Pittston YMCA and associate executive director at the Ambler Area YMCA, a branch of the YMCA of Philadelphia and vicinity. In addition, he provides consulting and grant writing services to nonprofit organizations under his private business called Bartoli Advocacy and Consulting Services. Frank has taught undergraduate students at Eastern University, mentored undergraduate groups at the University of Pennsylvania, was a guest columnist for the Sunday Dispatch, founded and served as president of the Delta Nu Alumni Association of Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity at Lock Haven University, and served on the board of directors of the Luzerne County Down Syndrome Network. He is a graduate of Leadership Wilkes-Barre and was named the 2002 Greater Pittston Person of the Year by the Sunday Dispatch. In 2018, he was appointed to the Pennsylvania Governor's Advisory Committee for People with Disabilities. He currently resides in Pittston, Pennsylvania. Jeffery Mazur is a graduate of Myers High School and Westside Votech in auto mechanics. He began his work experience at Wegmans Supermarket from 2009 through 2015, where he earned Employee of the Month 8 times while also speaking at the Step by Step social group until 2015 as well. In 2019, Jeffery was the MC at the Celebrate Inclusive dinner and received the title of NEPA Inclusive Volunteer of the Year in 2020. He has also received the LCM HDS Celebration of Abilities Recognition in 2021. Jeffery also sits on the board of directors for NEPA Inclusive. Ellie Bartoli is a graduate of Pittston Area High School with a diploma in Honors of Distinction and is also a graduate of the Wilkes-Barre Area Career and Technical Center with a certificate in audio-visual. Ellie was the team manager for Pittston Area Girls High School basketball from 2015 through 2019 and was named the Pittston Area High School Homecoming Queen in 2016. Ellie was an administrative assistant intern at the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce from 2017 through 2019 and continues to volunteer with the Chamber on all their community events. Ellie also volunteers at Meals on Wheels when she is not working in the bakery department at Price Chopper in Taylor. Ellie is the co-chair of the NEPA Inclusive Campaign for Inclusion for 2022. Now, let's hear more from Frank, Jeffery, and Ellie.
Hello, my name is Frank Bartoli. I'm the president and CEO of NEPA Inclusive, an organization that believes people with disabilities should be able to be included in all of their activities of the general community, including leadership opportunities. And when we talk about that as an organization, we ask the first question, which is, what is inclusion? Which is, of course, just a simple act of being included in a group or a structure. And in NEPA Inclusive, that's what we believe. People with disabilities, intellectual, developmental disabilities, and autism should be able to be included in their schools, in regular classrooms, in community events and activities, in employment opportunities of their interests in choosing, and they should be able to live where they want to live, with who they want to live, and how they want to live. That is really part of what we strive to achieve for people that we support. In leadership, the first question I guess we would ask then is, what is leadership? Which, of course, a very simple definition is just the act of leading a group of people or an organization. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, leadership of people with disabilities that are involved with NEPA Inclusive and how they could be involved in your organizations. And I have 2 people here that I'll introduce a little bit later that are leaders at NEPA Inclusive. That's my daughter, Ellie Bartoli, and Jeffery Mazur. I'll talk a little bit about Ellie first and some of the leadership opportunities that she's had early in her life. When Ellie was in high school, She was involved in the basketball team. She was interested in basketball, and she was interested in being a part of that, so she volunteered to be the high school girls basketball manager at Pittston area. She started as the assistant manager because she was younger and there was a manager on the team at the time. When he graduated, she was able to move up as the manager of the team. And in this role, she was able to work with her teammates in managing equipment and supplies, running the game clock at practice, providing encouragement to the team, and other responsibilities. She took this role seriously and she was very committed and rarely missed practice or games. She believed she was part of the team and of their success. Now, an early leadership example for Ellie was when Ellie and I attended a community sports event for people with disabilities. It was a picnic, an end-of-the-year party, and we went because we knew the people that were associated with that activity. She wasn't at the time. And while we were there, she ended up having a conversation with the man that ran that league when I wasn't present. And I guess they had a little bit of a conversation, and he asked her if she wanted to be involved. She said she would. She got his name and phone number, and she brought it to me, and she said, "Dad, I talked to him. I got his name and his phone number, and maybe you can call him to help us get more business at NEPA Inclusive." And I just thought, there's an example of a sophomore, junior in high school really thinking about how could she help NEPA Inclusive, an organization that she's been very closely associated with. Then in high school, she became an intern at the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce as part of her transitional employment training in high school. And while at the chamber, she helped set up meetings, perform administrative duties, and helped lead activities for the chamber as an administrative assistant on the team at the chamber. And after graduation, she's continued to be a part of helping the chamber by attending events that they hold and helping to be a part of a volunteer force that helps run their events. She's still very committed to the chamber and considers her role as part of the team at the chamber. She also volunteers at Meals on Wheels. Every Saturday she gets up, gets herself dressed, makes her own breakfast, dresses herself, and makes sure she has a ride to Meals on Wheels where she helps with food preparation. And she does this because she wants to give back to people like her grandparents who gave her so much, in her words. There's another individual associated with us at NEPA Inclusive named Jeffery. Jeffery Mazur is an individual that we've been working with for a number of years. He approached us and asked if he can plan social activities for the organization. And of course, we agreed and encouraged him along the way. He worked with our staff to plan picnics, outings like Francis Slocum, bowling, bingo, and the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins hockey games. And the more he planned, the more we helped support him and the more people participated in the activities that he plans. He then took that and he started a social committee at the organization. And that committee now holds meetings and they continue to plan future events for the participants of NEPA Inclusive. He actually also spoke as an MC at our Celebrate Inclusive annual dinner a couple years ago, and he actually spoke last fall at our staff retreat about the social activities to plan them for the next year. Then our organization took a deeper dive into planning and did a session of best practices with a consultant organization and decided that one of the strategies that we should employ is a DEIA program. And so we dug deeper into diversity, equity, inclusion, and access and started planning to have a higher level of diversity of our board, of our volunteers, and of our staff. And when we did that, we realized an underrepresented group in our community, in our company, is people with intellectual disabilities and autism. And so we decided we would provide an opportunity for people that we support with IDD and autism to be a part of our organizational structure in a way that gave them a seat at the table, a say in what we do, a voice for themselves and others like them. We took an approach of nothing about us without us and asked them to participate formally in the organization. We already had them. Jeffery was already participating as the chair of the social committee. Ellie was also acting as our chief marketing officer. And we had other people that also spoke at events and volunteered, like Haley Dixon and Chris Schwenk, that spoke at events for us in the past. And so now our committees on the board have a person with intellectual disability or autism as a member of those committees. And our board has an elected member of our board, a voting member of the board, who is Jeffrey. And Ellie is also the co-chair of our annual campaign for inclusion, along with the local businessman, Jeff McLaughlin, and together they chair bi-weekly meetings of a committee, of a committed group of volunteers that are helping raise money for the work that we do in inclusion. And collectively, these individuals are now vibrant members of our organizational structure, positive contributing members of what we do, are helping to learn more about them and their needs, and we're a better organization for it. My whole reason for telling you all these stories, and I'm going to introduce Jeffrey in a second, is because I believe that these individuals make us a better organization, and I believe other businesses could become better organizations if you also considered including people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in your diversity, equity, inclusion, access, and belonging of your organizations. Pew Research Trust has indicated that there's about 40 million people in America that identify themselves with disabilities. That's about 13% of the population base. Of that group of people, 71% of that group of people voted in the last election. And they did so because they said they think voting is important to make a difference. It's important who gets elected. And there's an example of how an organization could understand, including people of different types of abilities, like intellectual developmental disabilities and autism, could be an enhancement to your organization, as well as other people from other underrepresented groups. So now I'm going to introduce Jeffrey Mazur, ask him to come up and say a few words. He's really one of the driving forces between what we do. Come on up, Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Mazur. I'm with NEPA Inclusive. There's a lot of committees that I attend. One of them is the board of directors of NEPA Inclusive. I also am chairperson for the rec committee. A lot of things we do is set up events like we did this past winter, we did the Penguins, bowling. How I got involved with volunteering with NEPA Inclusive is that I like helping other people with disabilities to take them out in the community and to do social activities. And people with disabilities, just because you have a disability, don't give up. Keep trying, and if you fail, just keep on trying. Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce Ellie Bartelli.
Hi, I'm Ellie Bartoli. I started volunteering when I joined my high school basketball team. I got close to my teammates and my friends, and at the same time, I got interested in helping at NEPA Inclusive. So I started helping out. I've I now volunteer at Meals on Wheels. When I started, it was already in the middle of the pandemic. So I thought it was time to give back to the older generation, like grandmothers and grandfathers, because they gave so much to us when they were younger. The advice I would give is to never give up. Make noise, and be loud, so people will pay attention to you. Life is a climb, so never give up. I am a coach. Because of my volunteer work at Meals on Wheels, I became a coach. I became a co-chair of our annual campaign for inclusion. I am tr- I am trustworthy, punctual, and all the impact I would say I would give is I have made a strong foundation for future clients for NEPA Inclusive. Thank you.